What we're going to talk about today, in which we're going to be talking about mass surveillance. So I want to talk about Palantir because that's really the piece that brings it all together. We're going to talk about Flock, and then we're going to talk about the people who are organizing against these companies, especially where y'all are located. So, um, I'm going to start with Palantir because I think Palantir, again, it really brings together this whole surveillance web. And I think it's also been in the news a lot recently, right? Um, and Palantir, it's a weird company because it's hard to describe. But when I think about Palantir, I actually think about Maria Domingo Garcia. Maria, she's a mother of three. She was born in Mexico, but spent most of her life in Guatemala. And that was until she moved to the United States in about 2006, where she began working at a chicken disassembly plant in Mississippi, meaning that she would wake up at 4:30 every morning. She would get ready for work. She would get everything ready for her kids to go to school, and then she would be leaving the house by 5 a.m. just to clock in. And she did that for many years. That was until about 2017, where ICE actually conducted one of the largest workplace raids in our country's history. They arrested almost 700 people across seven different facilities in just one day. And Maria was one of those people. And Maria, one of her three kids was actually a 4-month-old at the time. And so not only was she feeling just the intense trauma of being separated from her family, but also she was in intense physical pain from needing to breastfeed but not being able to, sitting in a cold ice cell, literally a state away. And Maria, she's amazing. She actually wrote op-eds calling out Palantir. And she was very vocal about how this company brought her to where she was. And that was until she was deported right before the COVID-19 lockdowns, closing the border and preventing her from seeing her family for many years. But when she was talking about Palantir, she really knew that this company was behind it because what Palantir did was they sold ICE the software that helped them plan the whole operation, that planned the whole surveillance web that enabled that to happen. Because what Palantir does is what it says it does is find patterns in massive data sets. And when I say massive data sets, surveillance part. This is think 10 or 40 different Excel sheets with literally like millions of rows on each of them. And so what that looks like is things like your address, things like your license plate, or your social media. Sometimes between those two things or through cell tower records, they can get your location as well. Not only that, but that same information on your past romantic partners, your credit history, and also all that same information on your family. So that's what Palantir is. Palantir is not necessarily collecting data, but what it is bringing it all together in one place for their clients like ICE to be better at surveillance. And so Palantir centralizes all of this information for them to use it, really. And Palantir, it really is the center of what's called like the virtual border wall. The virtual border wall is all the different surveillance tools that ICE and CBP have at their disposal to track and surveil people and our neighbors, really. And I have a longer version of this presentation that's like 45 to minutes to an hour, but we're not going to get into it. What we are going to get into though is I want to talk really quickly about Flock. Flock is one of these tools that has been also in the news, but also is a really powerful tool for police and for ICE to just be tracking everybody's movements because these are called automated license plate readers or ALPRs. So whenever you drive through, say, a toll booth or by a courthouse or even just specific intersections, they are noting your license plate, the time you went by, and then also, yeah, just your general location. And they look like this right here. And Flock is just one of these providers. There are other ones, Axon, Rekor as well, but Flock is one of the scarier ones, definitely. They're all scary because they're collecting all of our information at once. But Flock is a network of license plate readers really across the country. And so what they say is that they are collecting 20 billion license plates per month. 20 billion. That's almost 40,000 in just 5 seconds. So 40,000 license plate in just 5 seconds. Think about all the traffic that's going on. And it's startling. It's a crazy amount of our data. And these cameras, they're being put up everywhere and often by local police, where they sit and they collect all this data. But what we found, especially in California, is that because they're connected to this national database of flock cameras, sometimes the privacy, I guess, like settings on these cameras are not very secure, and so ICE and really any other flock user could be checking and looking at those cameras as people go by. And also, ICE has been known to be searching through these cameras when they have access to the local police's data. So that's what Flock is really. And the Flock, there's a really, really strong organizing campaign against Flock in y'all's region. I really encourage you to check it out. They just had a great week of action, I've heard. But I just want to put a couple resources forward towards y'all. Part of this is putting out tips, right? And so DFlock is a really great resource. It's really amazing. It's a community powered website where people actually put in where they find flock cameras. And I just grabbed Oakland. This is a screenshot I took just before this. So I encourage you to check it out. You can even have like a mapping way. So if you wanted to drive somewhere without running into any flock cameras, you can do that. Also, the Electronic Frontier Foundation, they do a lot of really amazing work, including mapping the different license plate readers for the CBP. And so I want to come back to Palantir, right? So Flock is one of those tools, but also there's different online data brokers where people are buying and selling our data to ICE. There's also, I mean, the border towers itself, as well as like more like drone footage, all of this stuff that ICE has available to them, and social media monitoring. It all comes together in Palantir, and Palantir is really why that's the focus of our Palantir campaign, because they're building what they call Immigration OS, where ICE is tracking what they say is the near real-time location of immigrants. And not only that, Palantir is also implicated in the genocide in Gaza. They're also implicated in their weapons software is being used in Iran right now. And so this company is really at the forefront of a lot of really the worst stuff that's happening in our world right now. Which is actually why many people have learned about this and have come together in a really beautiful way to try to challenge this company. And I want to spend the next few minutes just talking about how we're organizing against this and what it looks like in your area, actually. Our goal with Palantir really is more focused on isolating this company and sanctioning this company's activity, because this company is so proud of what they do. They're so proud of their work with ICE. They're so proud of their work with the Israeli military and with other police forces. And so what we are trying to do is isolate them to make sure that they can't expand anymore, and to show them that their work with ICE costs them access to these spaces and costs them access to these political circles or these universities or these investors, like this Norwegian investor that divested about $24 million, specifically because of Palantir's work with the Israeli military. And we actually just had another one that I haven't added in here yet, that just the other month, the Presbyterian Church divested their full stake of $2.5 million from Palantir, also because of their human rights record and their refusal to not change. Another divestment campaign that's local to y'all. These are pictures actually from I think just last month, where CalSTRS Divest is a really great group, and they are our teachers pension fund. They are one of the largest pension funds in the world, and CalSTRS. They also have very significant investments in Palantir. So the teachers have been organizing, and they have a very specific ask, especially this year. They have a very specific ask for CalSTRS to divest from Palantir, and we're really excited. I think we think they're going to win. I also want to talk about politicians, right? I mentioned political circles. Another way to organize against these companies is limiting their access to politicians. And Palantir, in addition to working with ICE, in addition to doing all of this work, they also love donating to politicians. They love it so much. Millions of dollars, truly, it's insane. And but what that means though is that we can go to those politicians and explain to them these issues, and oftentimes have to escalate against them and have a campaign with their local constituents. And we've now have 15 sitting U.S. Congresspeople who have publicly pledged to not take any more Palantir contributions and also give that money that they received to local immigrant rights groups that are doing their work in their community. The number that I keep hearing is about $500,000 so far has gone from politicians to immigrant rights groups locally. And so we're going to keep pushing. But another piece I want to really quickly touch on is PG&E, because we're also pressuring Palantir customers and their clients. And PG&E, y'all's electricity, and mine too, our electricity company also works with Palantir. It's the same AI algorithm that's being used by ICE is being operated on their back end. And so pressuring PG&E, organizing ratepayers to try to get that contract canceled. I want to finish with this piece about hospitals because yes, they have all these horrible military contracts. Palantir also sells their AI tools to hospitals, and I can get into what they do, but we've been working with the National Nurses United, one of the largest nurses unions in our country's history, to challenge Palantir and stop the spread inside of these hospitals. And we've actually been pretty successful in a few cases so far. We have a national push on HCA healthcare, but in New York City, actually, we were able to discover that there was a secret public contract with New York City's public hospital system and Palantir. So it wasn't on any of the databases, but we filed a public records request, found out about it, worked with the nurses unions and the community groups to pressure the city council, and actually they pledged to let the contract drop. So they will not be renewing their contract once it expires in November, actually. And we're going to keep pushing and we're going to keep doing that for the rest of these hospital contracts. And a shameless plug is that actually on Thursday, there will be an action in Palo Alto by National Nurses United. And it will be a part of a national day of action across eight different cities in the US, all targeting different Palantir targets. I'll be at the one in LA, but I really encourage you all to make it down there. I can send you the details after. And if you want more information, you can go to purgepalantir.com, or you can check out this map where we've highlighted all the global targets of Palantir that we have identified. And so this is really a global movement. We have partners in Australia, across Europe, across South America, as well as obviously North America, the US. So I will leave it there, y'all, and I'm happy to answer any questions. That was a lot of information too. So happy to talk about any piece of that.
Well, I definitely just want to say thank you for sharing all this info with us. I feel like this is such a critical, timely issue, so it's good to get the full picture. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself or put in the chat.
Question. I'm wondering about how easy is it to request public records? I'm from San Jose, and I've been wondering whether our council members and mayor have taken money and signed NDA agreements with Palantir and or other companies. And um, I don't I don't know how to go about, um, you don't have to walk me step by step, but how easy is it to get those records for something like that?
That's a great question, Carolyn. I'm gonna put a website in the chat. It's called muckrock.com. I highly recommend it if you're ever interested in public records requests. You have to pay a small fee and then they handle it for you. You tell them where you want the record sent, and then they will do all the back end because unfortunately, public records requests are really difficult in our country. And it depends on where you are in a different city, what level you're requesting it at, but there's a lot of hurdles. So I'd highly recommend that website. If you're looking at money, though, there's also the FEC or different like state databases that will show who's taking money from who. And so I'd say start with Muckrock and we can work from there.
I mean, I didn't know this until recently, but there's a picture of our mayor in San Jose installing a flock camera. It's
Yeah, it's
ridiculous. It's just ridiculous, and they don't. Well, we've all seen it. These council members and elected officials do not seem to listen to people who attend these meetings. They just are not listening to their constituents. So, anyway, that's all from me.
No, I get that. I will say, I mean, you're in the right place though. They will listen to y'all when y'all get organized. So,
Any other questions?
Oh, I have a question. Sorry if I missed this, but looking at the map and seeing how it's kind of like roaches expanding everywhere in the world, is there like a global day of resistance against Palantir that's happening anytime soon?
it's funny you say that. I stay tuned. Yes, but stay
Okay,
tuned.
cool.
Yeah.
Nicole?
Oh, yeah, I had a question about the lady that you were talking about, her story. It was really touching. I was wondering if there's any updates about where she is and how she's doing.
Yeah. The last update I heard was a few years ago. Right now she's living with her family in Guatemala. She was able to get reunited with them in 2021. Um, yeah. So, she's doing much better now.
So she's with her children again.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
After years, but yes, absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you. Um, yeah, and thank you so much for sharing about all of this. I put in the chat the link to the Palantir Out Day of Action in Palo Alto, which we're also not co-sponsored, but we're amplifying it as an organization. So please, if anybody's able to come out on Thursday, definitely do. This is gonna be an awesome show of force from nurses, trying to protect their patients and their communities. Um, but yeah, any last words, Kenny? Thank you so much.
No, I'm excited to see what comes out of it, y'all. I mean, please stay in touch if you're more interested in all the surveillance work. There's a lot of work to be done.
You can say that again, but we've got a group here ready to work, right? Um, Thank you so much. Yeah, really appreciate it. I know you have another meeting to hop to, but still welcome to hang around if you like. Really appreciate it.